अगर हम न्यूट्रिशन की जैसे हम बात कर रहे थे, when we are talking about a healthy India, nutrition is very important. This is where midday meal comes in, because midday meal is very important. It helps kids. A lot of children in our country go to school hungry. So when you actually get a meal in school, it improves their attendance and retention by providing free food in government as well as local primary schools. So it's a very important aspect of nutrition for that segment of children. And joining us is Shri Chanchalapathi Dasa, the Vice Chairman of the Akshaya Patra Foundation. They started midday meals way back in 2000. And today they're feeding children across, in 12 states, and they have 49 kitchens. So what was the thought behind this when you all started this whole midday meal concept?
I must share with you, this was in the year 2000. It started in ISKCON temple in Bangalore. We had no idea at that time that we would get into a program of this kind. And there was one important donor of our temple, who is now part of Akshaya Patra, Mohandas Pai, who came to our temple. And he said, Swamiji, you have such a big temple, and a lot of people are coming. You're doing, the spiritual and that kind of stuff. Can you also do something for the society? And he gave a bunch of ideas, giving sewing machine to women and IT courses for young people and those kind of things. And then he also talked about midday meal program in Tamil Nadu, and it has had impact over 3 decades and all of those kind of things. And so he said that I'll come back after a few days, few weeks, think about it, Swamiji, and they left. Mohandas Pai and another friend of his, Abhay Jain, they left. So then Madhu Pandit Das, who's the chairman of Akshaya Patra now, who was the president of the ISKCON temple, we were sitting and reflecting, what do we say? It was at that time, an anecdote in the life of our founder, Prabhupada, came to our mind. Prabhupada had opened a temple in West Bengal, Mayapur, and about 100 kilometers from Calcutta. A lot of guests had come and a big feast was served. And after the feast in the afternoon, Prabhupada was sitting in his room, and suddenly he heard outside the window children crying and dogs barking. He walked up to the window and he saw there were poor village children trying to gather some food from the leaf plates which were strewn there after the feast. And actually Srila Prabhupada was a very, very compassionate person, felt for the pains of others. There were tears in his eyes, and he called the leaders of ISKCON temples at that time and he said, just see, we have invited Krishna to our temple. Krishna is the father of everyone. God is the father of everyone. And when there is God, how can there be hunger? How can there be children going hungry? It's the duty of every ISKCON temple, he gave at that time, that you should see that no one, especially children, in a 10-mile radius of your temple should go hungry. So this anecdote was there in the back of our mind. So in a few days, Mohandas Pai came back, and then we said that of all the different things we have thought of, in our temple we have a festival kitchen, which is used only about 8 days in a year. So we will start preparing meals, and so it was this kind of a simple idea that
this simple idea is today feeding so many children across the country, and I think it's also inspired. We have Anil Sharma, he's the Assistant General Manager, Corporate Communications Havels India Limited. You all also have the midday meal program. So how do you all keep the hygiene aspect? Again, when you're cooking food for so many children, hygiene is really important.
So I think I'll start with saying that, Mohandas Pai was critical in opening kitchen for us as well.
Yeah, the inspiration.
Yeah, he was the inspiration there. So he only got us to kind of join hands with the Rajasthan government at that time. And today we have about 4-acre kitchen. It's a completely automated kitchen. And like Swachh and Swachh, both are, packed together in this case. There's nothing that is touched with the hands, from roti to dal to whatever is being served. And for us, it is just not a midday meal, actually. We have not served this meal because there was a formality for us. Okay. This was purely from the heart of, our founder chairman, who believed in doing something good, and he wanted to do something good for the girl child.
Yeah.
That is when Mohandas Pai came and said, why only girl child, why not boys as well? And that's where, the midday meal started for us. Today we serve about 60,000 children every day. And last month we have completed 1 billion meals through our kitchen.
That's really credible work.
That's right. Now, Aditya, let me now quickly come back to you. Remember when we started the conversation, I said the political pledge, right, or the political resolve to take an initiative like this forward. See, these are all spokes of the wheel. NDTV will initiate, Dettol will initiate, but ultimately the engine of change is going to be government and governance.
Yes.
So what can we expect of the youngest leadership of the Shiv Sena?
There are three major things I think we need to speak about here of where we can help as governments or political parties coordinating with societies, because the discussion was about awareness and 2-3 exceptions that are brave enough to come forward, the whistleblowers, if we may call them, and call out things. I think the first thing we can do in neonatal healthcare and also prenatal healthcare is, one, of course, have emergency units like NICUs in almost every district of India, not just Maharashtra. The good part is, like Kriti was saying, there is a delivery where people are dying because your hands are not clean. Probably in rural areas, even if you wash your hands in rural areas, the water is not clean enough to clean your hands. So the good part is the government is investing a lot, the central government, on clean water. Going beyond that, I think once you come into hospital for deliveries and right after delivery, you need to have NICUs in every district. The 108 ambulances across India are actually reaching out to tribal areas, Adivasi areas, remote far-flung villages where you can have deliveries on these ambulances.
I think just explain NICU.
Yes.
What is exactly
it's neonatal intensive care unit. So it's like you have ICUs for basically older people. You have NICUs right after birth. So if the baby's underweight, so all these things, it's almost like in a isolation, in a bubble of care. So that happens, and this is happening, but this has to happen on a larger scale. Two, in places like, for example, Nandurbar, where you have the Narmada river flowing from, we have a boat ambulance from the government of Maharashtra for snake bites. On that, you have a couple of these deliveries as well. So these things can happen. That is one aspect. Two, for a Swachh India, right? Akshaya Patra, I've been trying to pull them into Mumbai. Hopefully, for our midday meals, we would have Akshaya Patra and all the other organizations. But once we talk of the right to food, like we have right to education, we need to add quality to everything. Right to quality education, right to quality of food. So Food for All is a great program. I remember my grandfather speaking about it. We started Zunka Bakar centers across Maharashtra. But when we talk of quality food today, in most midday meal programs across the country, you have instances where something like salt and chapati is going to some kids. You have the same khichdi going to kids day after day, day after day. The kids are going to get bored of it. You need to have nutritious food like these organizations are bringing in. So somewhere, if we can have women self-help groups which are serving foods and cooking food for all schools across India, tying up with bigger organizations, having central kitchens which are cleaner and giving the right kind of nutrition, that could help. The third most important aspect we as governments could implement, where I think it's also missing from the larger debate, is oral hygiene, dental healthcare. We started this last year with the BMC schools and Thane Municipal Corporation schools, where we started a program called First Decade, No Decay. First decade, no decay means ages 1 to 10, standard 1st to 4th. If you have clean teeth, strong teeth in these ages, your intake of food is much more than anything else. So what happens is normally, if you have bad teeth or bad oral hygiene, you will have a toothache. Because of that, you wouldn't eat the right kind of food. You would go for an ice cream or a chocolate or cold drinks. That in return would give you stunted growth or undernourishment or malnourishment.
Interesting.
That aspect, if we can address, last year Colgate tied up with us. You had the Rotary Club tying with us, and Dr. Sandesh Maikar was actually doing this. In municipal schools in Mumbai, we checked about 138,000 kids. We gave them prescriptions saying, okay, you are fine, you are healthy, you have cavity, you have tooth decay, and you can go to your closest dentist and get it checked. And we gave them vouchers of 2,000 rupees from Colgate. We also taught them how to brush. When to brush and how to brush is also very important. So when we talk of malnourishment, we also need to talk of oral hygiene. So these are aspects I think the government could really look into.
Wait, I feel like more than 1/3 of malnourished
is for whichever municipal corporations are being run by us, and hopefully the government soon. I would like the NDTV crew to come in, have an audit done for what things are going right and what things are going wrong, and wherever we're going wrong, we could probably correct those tracks and get them back on to the right path.
That's a nice initiative.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
that is what we could do.
Thank you for your contribution.
That's impressive. All right, on that note, thank you so much, all of you all, for joining us on this broadcast. I know you did not want to talk about it, but hey, here we are.
Pressure, no pressure. But you're interested in the Swachh box, right? With all the different aspects.
Yes.
So
that is what
that's what it's for.
And also there's a lot of course, when we deal with the health ministry right now, we've been having monthly medical camps across Maharashtra. So there's a lot of these pharmaceutical companies who are giving us these Swachh box things at a discounted rate. Wherever we've got these, wherever there's an excess, I could possibly hand it over to NDTV. But more so, let's partner it up and let's go ahead. And this is of course non-political. This is something which is a duty for all of us to adhere to.
Can I add something? We talked about wastage of food, which is definitely very concerning. In Akshaya Patra, what we have realized, Akshaya Patra has created a platform where we are feeding children, government schools and all of that. We have also realized that we have to sensitize young people, and we have a youth volunteering initiative in Akshaya Patra. And we go to colleges and hostels and create a campaign of zero waste. In fact, Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore has taken the initiative, and they have launched a program. In our institute, we want to see that in our mess, in our hostels, there is zero wastage.
That's very nice.
These kind of things are very, very essential. Like you said, that there is wastage in one place and there is a great need for food in another part.
Had Prasoon Joshi been here, he would have said, this is also Maa Ki Baat. This is exactly an advice that used to come from the mother. Kriti Sanon as well as Aditya, thank you so much for joining us.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yes, you were
sharing the time.
You wanted to say something?
Both of you.
No, it's just been a pleasure, and thank you so much, and thank you NDTV for doing this and coming forward. And the Swachh box, I feel, is a great initiative, and it's much needed. And so many basic things that we've spoken about today, from like hand wash to what we eat, and it's really important in our lives. And the more we promote, the more we tell the near dear ones to us, I think that's the only way to go about it.
All right, thank you.
Can we have a round of applause
for
these two youngsters here?